Hey guys, day 9 of trying to shoot a video once per day. And yeah, it's getting down to the wire. I got some things to talk about, but I had a long, long day. So it started with the Steelers winning against the Ravens, just like I predicted in one of my ice cream review videos. And then that was accompanied by Jacksonville beating Indianapolis, which I also said needed to happen. And then uh, it came down to the wire, but the Chargers Raiders game did not end in a tie. So the Steelers are in the playoffs, just like I was looking for. Um, and that game that did not end in a tie, it also was overtime, and it was the last kick that broke the tie that it was at. So, yeah, it was down to the wire. But in between all of those games, between the morning games and the night game, I watched the last episode of Dexter New Blood. Now, spoilers, spoilers. I'm talking about a show that you might not have watched. Um, so, years ago, uh, the finale of Dexter was well, it left a lot to be desired. Um, it felt rushed. It was like they had a plan to have maybe more, and that it seemed like it was written in a rush. Like the show got canceled, and they were like, oh man, we only have a couple episodes to tie it all together, and in the end, spoilers. Now, if you haven't seen the end of the first like eight seasons of Dexter, um, in the end, he goes off on a boat in Hurricane Laura, a fictitious hurricane, and he's got the body of his sister who was killed by somebody that he decided not to kill, that he didn't have to kill anymore, you know. And then that guy ends up killing his sister. So he's super upset. He realizes that um, the world is crashing down on him, and he's just so upset with the way that his actions led to his sister's death that he takes her body out on a boat and claiming it as like one of his victims, he releases her at about the same place that he did all of his other victims. Um, and if you guys don't know, like the main premise of it is that he's like a serial killer of serial killers, like a predator of predators in the movie, or sorry, in the series. But yeah, after dumping off her body, he just like sails off towards the hurricane, and then basically everybody thinks he's dead from his boat, pieces of it washing ashore, and then it ends up that he's in a logging industry in like Oregon instead of being in Miami. And so like the last scenes of the original run of this like years long show were so rushed. Like what? He didn't die in the hurricane. He's a lumberjack and that's it, you know? And so like people were not happy with the ending. I think it's probably, along with the ending to The Sopranos, it's one of the most talked about endings of any sort of series on, uh, the pay channels like HBO and Cinemax and Showtime. Um, this ending was just not what anybody wanted. Nobody wanted an ending like that. That was kind of just left you hanging, and it wasn't satisfying. And so, in watching the 10 episode series Dexter New Blood, um, yeah, I was happy to see Dexter back and back doing what he does. That was cool for a few episodes. That a few people who needed to have his services applied to them got their comeuppance. But uh, the show was that for just a little bit, but then it was really like trying to bring things back around full circle to where there was real closure that we were all missing from the original series. Like, when the original series was out, I was not a fan at first because I didn't have those pay channels, and I've been a cord cutter for a long time, and my sister watched it every week as it came out, and I became one of those people who like to just like wait until the end of the season or wait until the end of the run of the show in order to watch something, because like, if you get invested in something like Firefly and then they cancel it, you get all pissed off, right? So the way that we watch shows has something to do with this, right? After Dexter was over for its original run, and he was basically just left as a lumberjack at the very end. After all that killing and everything, like, that was the ending that we get. Um, I was upset a little bit, but I was one of those people who did one of those marathon watchings of Dexter in between jobs when I was an electrician. So, like, uh, each day I was watching 8 episodes or so, just to try to like get through it all. And I binge watch shows now, and that has something to do with this extra season that they've given us. That, if you're binge watching from the beginning now, this is now the new ending. They like rewrote a better ending to the whole series, and that's why it makes sense for what it is. You know, um, After The Sopranos, people wanted more Sopranos. They wanted maybe AJ to take over the Bada Bing nightclub and have a spinoff, you know. And then James Gandolfini died, and that ruined any chance that Tony lived through the scene in the restaurant. Spoilers for The Sopranos now, because that was the final scene of the Sopranos. I don't feel like I'm doing too bad telling you guys like the end of shows that have been like years and years past, but I'm going to put spoilers in the title of this one just to, you know, really send it home. Like, I'm talking about the end of a lot of shows here, right? And this is unedited and just a ramble, so I could talk about anything, you know? So, the cinematography of this last season of Dexter was a little bit different. One, it's not Miami, and the camera is not warm. Like, the tones that came from the setting of Miami for all of the seasons of the original run of Dexter, uh, just think sky blue, like this blue here, right? That was kind of like absent from this telling of this last season. It was a darker tone because it's a colder place, this Iron Lake New York, which, Iron Lake is fictitious, but it was set in the woods of New York. Apparently, he wasn't in Oregon anymore. He moved finally to a community in New York that had a lot of Native Americans in it, and it was in rural New York, right? And so Dexter felt different just for the tone of the color palette of the show, because it's not Miami, and it was in the snow. There was no snow at all in the original run of Dexter. There was a hurricane once, but like there was never any snow. It's completely different setting, completely different feel to it in that respect. Different clothing, um, and that really was different. But also, there were little things like every title of every episode in the show was snuck into the show uh, in a way that I remember seeing in the show Fringe, or there's been a few other shows that do this where like they use special effects to put the name of the episode in the show somehow, like the words "lost" on Lost. Anyways, uh, the technology for doing this is getting better and better. Like they could probably like put it on my sweater, or they put it on a billboard as a car drives by it. They can sneak the title of every episode into the beginning, and that was different. It felt like a different show, borrowing that sort of style. And it is different because now, a decade later, the advancements in film technology are different. Um, but also the pacing reminded me of another show I've been watching recently, which was Cobra Kai. It didn't feel like the same pace as the original set of Dexter episodes. It felt like intentional that way, but also bringing in. Okay, this is big spoilers now. Spoilers, click away, right? Bringing in Dexter's son Harrison brought in like that teenage vibe to it, And so when I'm looking at the pacing of the show, and that there are teenagers in the show, it reminded me of Cobra Kai, you know. As far as the style, but I knew going into this that this is like just 10 episodes and done, you know. Um, so I was surprised that it was using a style that is more towards open-ended storytelling, where like the story's over when the the owner company says, well, you guys aren't getting as many views anymore. You're not bringing in as many subscriptions, and the ratings suck, so we're canceling you. Um, this was really like they had an opportunity to fix something similar to that happening a decade ago, So like the fact that they used that pacing really it gave it a different feel. I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy it. I did. But it was a different feel than the original show. Um, the ending of this series, I'll say I'm satisfied, because my feelings on this are like when I binge watched the entire first run a decade ago, the ending sucked. It really did. Like, I can't even believe they put it on television. It sucked, right? This I kind of took as them uh, making up for that with a 10 episodes, 10 hours of entertainment that you know that this is going to have an ending to it, you know, and be a lot better than the ending that we got from the original series. But also, what I realize is people who never watched the original Dexter, who now want to, maybe, um, it comes across as an offering to them. If they're binge watching like I originally did, they're not going to have that sense of that's it. That sucks. That's a horrible ending. You know, this ending I feel like it definitely was just an extension of the original show and giving it a proper ending. And I enjoyed it. I liked the way that it kept to a few of the things that were set up by the original series, like James Remar. I know they could have gotten him for the show, but they didn't. And he was Dexter's dad, Harry, and there were a lot of different actors and actresses that are still alive that they could have gotten and from the original series and put back into the show, and they didn't. You know, and the reason why I was okay with Dexter not talking to his dead father and instead talking to his dead sister was the last episode of the original run. Do you remember the monsters? Was the name of the episode? When Dexter doesn't kill the guy that ends up killing his sister, he talks to his father in his head and tells him, you know, I did it. I kept myself from killing. And the father says, well, you don't need me anymore. Right? And as part of that ending, as it was a decade ago, that was like that character's swan song. Like that was the right point for that character to fade off, you know, literally fade, and had never faded before. We always kind of just like jump cut to like James Remar isn't in the shot anymore. But it was like his mind was saying, okay, I can let go of having my dad help me out all the time by imagining what would dad do in my head. And then in this new series, instead of his dad giving him pointers on how to run his life, it's his sister who keeps haunting him after her death. And it's been, you know, 10 years of time since her death, and she continues to chime in on his life and takes the place of his father. Like, he talks to dead people in his head, you know, like, but some of the things that that they say when they're dead are like the way that he would imagine them or would want to imagine them. There were a few things that his sister said that I was like, she would never say that. But this is the Deborah in his head. So that's why she's saying it to him, because there's that part of his head that is filling in the blanks of what would my sister say. That's like him imagining that. So, yeah. I felt like it was a pretty good closure. This entire 10 episode extra gift that we were given, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I do recommend anyone who watches Dexter in the future to include these 10 episodes as the final uh, the final season of the show, the new final season. To me, they should be bundled together whenever anyone starts with season one, episode one, and then watches them all through. They shouldn't have to go looking for Dexter New Blood. It should just be a package deal and go all the way through with them. It fixed what needed to be fixed. Talk to you guys tomorrow, and we'll do 10 videos for 10 days. See how that goes.